Yeah.
What are your impressions on the event so far? Because we are late in the event.
It's been pretty good. It has a very TI5 feel. The first 2 days the venue was kind of empty, though it's pretty understandable. You can't expect people to take an entire week off work to commit to Dota, but it's nice to see it filled up. It's Thursday now, so I expect Friday and Saturday will be pretty big. The crowd's finally getting electric, so it's been pretty cool. The venue here is really, really nice.
Thank you. You've been casting the entire group stage. You've seen a lot of games there.
Well, by the entire group stage, if you mean 2 best-of-3s, then yeah.
Well, you've seen the games at least there.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Have you been expecting Fnatic to be out so fast after the group stage?
Yes and no. I would have, if you look at the way the teams have placed, I would have swapped them with Unknown. Unknown ended in that bracket of like 9th to 12th, and Fnatic is in the bottom 13th to the 16th. I would have swapped those if you had asked me to make predictions. Outside of that, though, I think it's been fairly predictable. There haven't been really too many crazy upsets along the way. Fnatic's kind of an odd team. I think Black is an exceptionally skilled player. I think it's time when Vici proved that for sure. Mushi certainly has the individual skill, but he doesn't seem to be as hot as he once was. So I don't know. I haven't really seen Fnatic look that good recently, and the big problem for the SEA region is just who do you practice against? You know, if you're the best team in the SEA region, you don't really get to face against good competition. So I don't think it's too surprising to see them place at the bottom of this one.
So basically, if the next major, let's say, would be somewhere in Asia, maybe they get better chances because they will have practicing against.
I don't know. I mean, the major being in China doesn't really change who they can scrim against in the months leading up to the event, and that's really where the big preparation is. I mean, yeah, maybe before the event they'll get to do a little bit of preparation with teams around there, but I don't know that it really changes the status quo too much. That's just one of the problems innate with the C region, amongst other things. You know, internet issues, mandatory military, all that stuff.
Okay, talking about the major and the system itself, how do you think it will impact the scene in the future?
Well, I think the biggest thing for the majors is the stability in rosters. I think the idea of having roster locks and periods when teams can trade players when they can't is really good. I think it's going to take at least another major for that to be calibrated properly in terms of how long the windows should be, you know, how long after the event players should be able to trade, you know, switch around teams. I think the most important part is trying to create stability in teams that trade players, whereas when we had TI, it was much more, we made a team, we didn't work out at TI, let's disband the team and make a completely new team. And from a fan perspective, it gets very difficult to follow the scene and really have, you know, like loyalty to one team. I think Alliance is an example of a team that's done a really good job staying together with a core unit of players. You know, Loda and Ake are kind of the backbone of the team, so Alliance fans can still cheer for the same team over the course of many tournaments. Where you look at Fnatic, you know, you could have cheered for them 2 years ago, and now it's a completely different team from another region. So I think that's definitely the biggest improvement that the majors are going to bring along to the scene for sure.
But on the other hand, we had the Cloud9 story here at the major. So they made this new team with up-and-coming players, and they kind of underperformed here, let's say.
Yeah.
And there was the other background story, of course, and not even 24 hours after the game they announced the Ritsu.
Yep.
And yeah, I was wondering, we have like a lot of up-and-coming players, yeah, in a lot of teams like OG, Cloud9, even Fnatic. They got a chance to perform at these majors. What if they underperform? What happens with them?
You mean like a team like OG, if they underperform? I mean, if you're a brand new team, and that's not to say that teams will never disband. I mean, that's always going to happen. So, sometimes that's the right play. It's 5 players that just really don't work out and they all want to go different avenues. I think that's okay. I'm not implying that should never happen, but before it seemed like that was the standard, where it was almost never that we're going to stay as a team and trade players around. If you think about real sports, you can cheer for Manchester United even if they trade players around. You still feel like it's the same team because they're not dumping their entire roster and grabbing a new one. But I think it's perfectly fine if you know, a team has a go, it doesn't work out, and at the end of the event they realize, hey, you know what, none of us like each other, we don't want to keep this thing going. Fine, you know, get rid of it. But the more we can move towards having more stability in teams, I think it's better from a fan perspective, at least. For Cloud9, I mean, that was kind of a somewhat unique scenario. I mean, Ritsu is a special flower, I think you could say. After a PR blow like that, I don't think anybody was surprised that he was going to be removed from the team. The timing was such that, you know, if you're Cloud9 management, you know if you can't get rid of that player right before the major, because then your team can't play in the major. So even if you know, they're demoralized or there's some issues, you basically still have to continue on playing the event and then deal with it afterwards, and then just look forward to the next one. So I don't think it was too terribly surprising that they got rid of him so quickly. I would imagine it was in place before the event even finished.
Probably, yeah. Talking about OG, they've been dropped in the lower bracket, and now they are staying everyone there. They are still fighting. The game is going on. Who do you think will win this one? CDAC, OG right now playing.
Well, having seen the first 5 minutes of the first game, it looks like OG is coming out of the gate swinging. I think they look a little bit better than CDEC. They sort of remind me of CDEC from TI5, where it seems like they're just on the heater. You know, they're really starting to mesh as a team. You and I were just talking before we started this interview that they're running Tiny Wisp, which has an abysmal 30% win rate this turn. I think it's 2-5 coming into this game, and they're playing it, and right now they're winning the match. They just seem to be on point. You know, Fly and No-Tail have a long history with each other. They've known Moonmeander for a pretty long time. I believe Crit is a fellow Dane with No-Tail, so there's just a lot of natural synergy in that team. I think they're probably pretty friendly outside of the game. So I'm honestly not too surprised to see them doing well here in this event. But I think they'll go. I think they'll do well in this series and maybe even go a step further.
Who do you cheer for, or who do you hope to get into the finals?
I wouldn't be upset to see an EG Secret Finals. Right now that's the winner bracket finals, and I think that could easily be the grand finals as well. There's no doubt that they look like basically the top 2 teams this event. I mean, Secret and EG are sort of the fan favorites. Of course, EG won TI5, but they've both just been looking very strong, you know, very crisp, solid Dota.
Okay, when the major is over, we're gonna have Summit 4. What is the Summit preparing in terms of broadcasting and everything? Can you give us some insights?
Great question. You know, I don't work for Beyond the Summit anymore, right?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. I imagine there's going to be some players on the couch casting.
So Moonduck Studio will not partnership with Summit?
No. I mean, the Summit is Beyond the Summit's baby. You know, I mean, I was one of 4 key people for Summits 1 through 3, and that is like their event that they do their way, and it's all BTS all the way. So they absolutely won't partner with another studio, Moonduck or otherwise, because you know that's their grassroots baby that they started from, you know, nothing more than an idea and have brought it into really one of the most recognizable tournament series outside of the major or the international. So I'm sure they have something creative in mind. Part of the model that we set in place at the beginning was every summit should have a noticeable improvement. From Summit 1 to Summit 2, there was some sort of improvement that I'm forgetting. Summit 2 to Summit 3, we increased from 6 players to 8 players. Well, actually, Summit 1 to Summit 2, there was a big increase in talent in the way we did the coverage and that kind of stuff. So Summit 4, I bet they have something special in store. I don't know what it is, but it should be something good to look forward to.
It would be strange for you to watch it from home?
It will be a little bit, honestly. It's a really cool event. I feel really lucky to have gotten the experience doing logistics and event management in an environment where no one else had really done it either. So we were all sort of on the same level of, we're going to mess some things up. You know, this is a learning experience for all of us to some degree. So it was, you know, I felt like I was part of helping turn that idea into a tournament. So it will definitely be a little bit weird sitting on the sideline instead of, you know, the crunch time when you move everything out of your house and, you know, you're basically sleeping on the floor, living and breathing the event for a few weeks. It's intense, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
So then what Moonduck Studio has prepared for the end of the year?
So our first tournament outside of the Little Elimination Mode Cup we have Canada Cup, which is not the biggest of tournaments, though for the North American scene it's become actually a pretty reputable tournament. We just announced it a couple weeks ago. We've got
They have a huge prize pool compared with the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really gotten a lot of traction. It's a really cool tournament. The guy that runs it is a really nice guy. You know, usually in esports people are kind of polarizing. You have to make some enemies along the way. And he's one of the only people that I've met that everyone is like, Bill, he's awesome. I love that guy. For Bill, I'll do it. You know, nice. So it's a really cool tournament. The teams really seem to like it. We've got some fun production features. Pimp Muckles, our production expert and our observer, he's got some cool things to debut that we're going to show off and kind of beta test, for lack of a better term. And then we're in talks with a few other tournaments, but nothing I can announce yet. Captain's Draft will be coming up. It won't be happening this year. It'll probably be the beginning of next year, but we are definitely doing a Captain's Draft 3, which will be under the Moonduck label. So that'll be pretty exciting.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I know you want to see the end of the game, so I'll wrap it here. If you have any shoutouts, please.
Not really. Thank you for taking some time to interview me here. Shout out to Moonduck. Check us out. Everything is Moonduck TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. We're going to have some cool content coming soon, TM. It's been a little bit of a slow start, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. A lot of announcements on the way.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks.